Well, how is everyone doing? Another fine Tuesday night. A little cool in my area, but I appreciate everybody joining tonight. I'm sure everyone will kind of hop on here in just a second. Let this thing kind of get go live. Like give everybody the notification as always. I know there's a couple little delays and stuff. Katie, how's it going? Good to see you. Hopefully, you guys. I wasn't sure if where you were, you guys were having that kind of nasty weather or not, but sounded like kind of down in I know like Louisiana and I thought they said up into Tennessee and everything as far as some of the nasty weather. But anyway, good to see you as always. Always good to see everybody on another Tuesday night. And I figured, as we are getting close to the end of the year, it's always nice to kind of talk or kind of feel through. And again, I'll open this thing up here in a little while. So if anyone's set up and they want to join and they want to kind of interact and talk a little bit about some of the favorites and maybe some of the dislikes and surprise whiskeys of 2022, feel free to kind of jump in. I will. I'll put the link in the chat here in a little bit, and if somebody wants to jump on, then feel free to do so. But no pressure. So, but I figured as we were kind of getting into the end of the year, a lot of us start to kind of work on our whiskeys of the year. And really, honestly, for me, without, I know for us and tasting a lot of the whiskeys through the whiskey club, we get kind of spoiled from that standpoint. So, and then just overall being busier, I reviewed, less things this year, unfortunately, just with things going on. But it was one of those kind of deals where I was a little bit underwhelmed. And again, I don't know about you guys, but I got to the point where I was almost kind of struggling to find enough things. I think I've got some stuff that I feel will be worthy of, let's say, a top 5 kind of list. But to stretch it out, I think it would be kind of unfair or doing kind of injustice just to have a big list of whiskeys. For me, I want to try to narrow it down to not everything being super highly allocated, but maybe there might be one thing or something in there. But I think for the most part, a lot of the things that I'll have on the list will be somewhat attainable for the most part, if not, somewhat, available, period. So let me say hi to a few people in here. I know there'll be a couple other people probably joining in here pretty soon. So Katie was in here first. Always good to see Katie. Hopefully the husband's lurking somewhere around. Dr. Robert, cheers, brother. Good to see you. Kitty, always good to see you. Top Dog, hey, brother, how's it going? So we'll catch up here in a little bit. There's my man, Cam. So my 4th or 5th favorite, Cam. So thanks, brother. Appreciate you joining tonight. So I'm sure it'll kind of fill in here a little bit. So, hey, Brett, how you doing, brother? Hopefully things are well with you out there in good old state of Colorado. So yeah, anyway, I wanted to kind of dive into tonight and maybe feel our way through some of these whiskeys of, the goods, the bads, the ugly, whatever it may be. I'm always interested to hear people's perspective on a lot of these things. So for me, probably the most interesting thing about the list or kind of hearing people's favorite things are things that kind of surprise them, whether it's in a good way or a bad way, hopefully more in a better way. But it's always fun, interesting to kind of hear and see some of those things that are, kind of piquing people's interest. So let's see what else we got in here. What's up, brother? Good to see you. What else we got here? A slow Tuesday night, it seems like. I don't know what the heck's going on. So we'll see. Hopefully more people will jump in here in a little bit. And again, if there is anyone who is interested in jumping on here in a little while, then just let me know. But I figured, hey, we'll kind of get into a few things that were kind of interest. And it's, again, like I said before, it's always interesting to hear your perspective. And I think a lot of times when we do all these lives, a lot of it is very in the moment of what we're doing and everything, but trying to get you guys more involved and have more kind of, open chat forums, I'll say, with these live streams is fun for me. I appreciate getting you guys involved, hearing your perspective on things. So it's, I appreciate that. So I like the involvement of stuff. So how's it going, Tim? Good to see you. Cheers from Cincinnati. Yeah, a lot of, so I can imagine. Yeah. Depending on where you are. I mean, that's the thing with Colorado, it doesn't take long for a bunch of snow to pile up. So cheers, Jared. Thanks for, appreciate that. Oh, 48 Kelvin 4. So that was a hitter. We'll see if that one makes it into my top 5. I'm going between one other 4-gate barrel that I thought when I tried it outside of kind of some of our barrel picks that we do, that I was blown away. But the Kelvin 4 for me is definitely in the mix. So there were a couple that I was not, like, I guess I'll say, like, overly crazy about early on, which may factor into my top 5, but it was one that I thought really needed time to just sit in the bottle, get some air. And I guess I'll bust that one out here a little bit. So this was the Calumet 16 specifically. And for me, excuse me, when I first tried it, it was so heavy on the oak that it was not my jam. And I set it aside, went back to it, and eventually it started to shine. So I'm glad it ultimately did in a very, very good way. So how's it going, Tony? Good to see you. Appreciate you. Thanks for jumping in here. Jimmy, good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. Love the little avatar. Absolutely love that. A lot of Badger news in the past couple of days with the new hiring of Finkel from the University of Cincinnati, who is now the Wisconsin Badgers' new head football coach. So really excited for that. Not to kind of talk Wisconsin stuff, because a lot of you don't either care or whatever, but it was exciting for us. So what's up, nerd? Good to see you. Appreciate you jumping in here as always. But yeah, I'll open it up here in a little while if there's anybody who wants to jump in and share their thoughts on the maybe favorites, dislikes, and some of the surprises of 2022. So what do you got, Trooper? I just picked up the 16 and it tasted like a tree branch. So here's what I'll say. With it being heavily oaked, the proof, I like the proof. I thought the proof was good, 106 proof. I was fine with that. But I agree. It is extremely heavy early on in the oak part. If you're referring to, when you talk about a tree branch, if you're referring to the oakiness, then yeah, there's some dryness that comes along with that. And it definitely, in my opinion, needs time to just sit in the bottle. I mean, get it open. You can see I've got mine kind of down a little bit. This is actually my second bottle. Just opened this not that long ago and actually have another unopened one. So if that tells you my thoughts on it, I think it does really start to shine. So I think for this, it got to the point where I felt I needed to treat it almost like a 4-gate product, where you try it, from the time you open it and then just set it aside, almost forget about it, go back to it, a couple weeks, a month, longer. And I think you'll ultimately be rewarded. So that was one of the things with this whiskey or bourbon specifically that I felt it just needed an awful lot of time. So one thing I'll ask you guys is, what were some of your, we'll just go down the road. Let's hear some of your favorites so far in 2022. It doesn't have to be highly allocated. It can be bottom shelf, mid shelf, it doesn't matter. Whatever it may be, some of that stuff. I want to hear from you guys some of your favorites for 2022. So what's up, Adam? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Yeah, so the Russell's Reserve 13, I had last year's and fantastic. Was actually in my top 5 last year. Didn't get a bottle this year, so that's part of the requirements. Is if I don't have a bottle, it doesn't factor in. But I would 100% agree with at least last year's version of the Russell's Reserve 13. Absolutely loved it. My comparison would have been, I mean, have I had some Russell's single barrels that have been on par, similar to that? Sure, I have, and there are some great ones. But again, very similar to the Russell's Reserve 13, where not many people get them. It was kind of the same thing with a lot of the single barrels. There's very few of those, so there aren't going to be a bunch of those floating around. So in terms of the scarcity of it, they were kind of equal from that standpoint. So yeah, Mike, I'll tell you what, that's one thing that Jason and I have been really trying to kind of get our hands on, and maybe we've got one that we're kind of letting sit. It is an MGP that's finished in cognac cask, but we want to let it kind of sit a little longer. We didn't feel like it was quite ready yet, but absolutely love what Starlight is doing. I'll also have a video coming out here pretty soon where I'm highlighting some, I'll call it craft distilleries or whatever it may be, because I get the question a lot of times, just in terms of, craft whiskeys, I don't think are nearly the way they were, let's say, even a handful of years ago, maybe not even that long ago. A lot of these again, craft whiskeys have now started getting a lot of really nice ages on them. And the ones who've done it well are now, I'll say, major players in the overall aspect of the whiskey world. So I'm pleased and I'm happy to see so many of them doing some really, really great things. Here's one for me. This was a surprise, and you guys can let me know if you've had this, but this is a distillery out of Missouri. And I'll tell you what, when I got into it, I wasn't sure what it was that I was going to be getting with this. And it's very, very interesting. I just did my review on this, but haven't released it yet. Still have to do some editing. But what this little bourbon has to offer, I was really surprised in a very good way. So I would say if you're looking to try something different that isn't necessarily Kentucky bourbon or MGP, this is their own distillate out of Missouri, and again, it's called Ben Holiday. And I was, they actually give you some kind of cool information on the side here. I'll see if I can. If that'll pop up a little bit, but you can see where it says distilled, kind of cool. It says distilled on, bottled. So this was distilled spring of 2016, bottled in spring of 2022. So again, it's a bottled in bond, but older than the requirement of it being 4 years old. But if you haven't tried any of the Ben Holiday, I would say give it a shot. I forget what the price point was on this, so that might be one of the only things that's a little bit prohibitive with it. I want to say in that $50-ish range, something like that. But for what it was, I was absolutely, I was kind of blown away because of the amount of flavors that it was giving. So okay, there you go, Jared. So yeah, he would know. So, but again, $60-$70. All right. So maybe are we getting into a little higher price point for what that is? Possibly. Again, I'll leave that up to the buyer. But I thought for a nice little bottle and bond, bourbon, I think they got a little something on their hands. Actually, let's kind of pour a little bit of that and just kind of see. It does have the old screw top, which it's kind of like, in a way, a little bit of a novelty, which I'm kind of fine with. I mean, sometimes with all the corks and the way they break and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I don't know, I'm kind of fine with it. And really, doesn't make a bit of difference. I mean, I know there's the traditionalists and all that who want cork, and it is cool, and I appreciate that, but so many of them now have all the synthetic stuff anyway. So how's it going, Dwayne? Good to see you, brother. What do you have here? So Chattanooga Founders was a great release this year. Didn't have a chance to try that one, unfortunately. We don't see a lot of Chattanooga stuff around here, so we just don't see it. So, all right, what do you got, Jared? So they are also doing experimenting in experimental cave as well. So they'll be getting even more interesting soon. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's a good little tidbit. So doing a little bit of cave aging. That's kind of an interesting approach. So I kind of wonder with a cave, similar to like kind of like let's just say a deeper basement. Obviously, the cave, I'm sure, is much deeper, but you get more of a consistent type of temperature. So I don't know if how much that will implement on the overall like flavor profile, like what a constant kind of temperature will do to the barrel, if that makes any sense. So I guess, Jared, you might know more about that than I do, but it's I'm kind of curious to know like what the effect of aging barrels in a cave would be. So it's for secondary finishes. Okay, so just so that they're, I guess, sitting in a barrel with something that's got some kind of consistency, I'm guessing, because without it being overly hot, I can't imagine a huge amount of interaction, but I don't know, what the hell do I know? So, but yeah, I know. And I think a lot of these things is like sometimes the novelty behind some of this stuff. Like I know there's a brand that's aging like whiskey outside of like Jefferson's, but now they're like aging it on a barge, I believe. And the one thing I'll say about that is, I guess the constant either movement and interaction, the sloshing around, in my mind, it feels like it would have a significant amount of like interaction with the barrel. Now, whether or not that makes it good or bad, I don't know. I mean, that's for every single person who's trying it. I think it's Ingram whiskey, I believe is what it's called. And they're aging bourbon, I believe, on the Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. So if someone knows, then correct me, but I'd be amazed as to kind of know what some of those are. I kind of reached out to them maybe about the possibility of doing a barrel pick with them as well, just because it's kind of cool. I'd be interested to kind of hear their story as well. So double spelunking barrel. Interesting. All right. I don't know, Justin. I don't know if that's serious or you're kidding or what, but I have no idea. But what else we got here? Let's see what we got here with this. Man, it's just an easy little nose and everything on it. Sweet, nice, actually a nice amount of oak on it. A lot of kind of like honey, graham cracker. Some nice like kind of like fresh fruit, maybe stewed fruit. Nice little, I think that was one of the things that when I sat down with it, I just thought in my mind, boy, this is just a nice little sipping, bourbon. Not that you're going to get blown away by proof or anything like that, but for those nights where you just want a little something, you have maybe something different, this kind of fit the bill. So how's it going, Eric? Good to see you, brother. Fellow Wisconsinite. Hailstorm, hell yeah. Incredible bourbon, and one of those ones that I still think at the end of the day, maybe still one of the better values in all of bourbon, to be honest. I mean, I think for what it is you're getting at that price point, generally speaking, no more than $60-ish, give or take a few bucks. But I think for what it is you're getting, the flavor profile, again, it's not overly aged, bourbon. Again, Old Forester, they're kind of known for their heat cycling. So it is kind of doing a little more of that rapid aging. And the ones that are doing it right, it is paying off, I'll say. So I'm kind of, I was really kind of like on the fence before about the heat cycling and kind of maybe not knowing enough about what the process was. But I'll tell you what, the more I hear about people doing it, the more of a fan I've become, of it. So I like how it allows for the whiskey to interact with the barrel. So yeah, so Adam, can't go wrong there at all. I mean, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. Again, it used to be, the store picks. I mean, if you could get the older ones, even back in the day for 40, $45, you were getting some 14, maybe almost 15-year-old whiskeys in that. Those bad boys are long gone. So unfortunately, but what do you got? OH, wasn't Kaio Japanese whiskey also doing boat aging? Yeah, they were doing something that was kind of interesting. And I think he's always doing some kind of cool stuff as well. So, but yeah, I mean, hey, I'm fine. And if it ends up being something that's a little bit gimmicky at times, I'm okay with it. I just don't want anyone to necessarily, blow smoke. Like, let's just call it what it is and maybe not make a huge deal about it. But it's crazy. Yeah, and it's I mean, they came and went, and fortunately I was able to get my hands on one, and glad that I did. There's not a lot of that aged MGP around at all, Jared. But if you did get it, congrats. I mean, it's kind of one of those things. I mean, at Hazmat, like 144 proof, I think it was, which normally you don't get a lot of old MGP at that kind of proof. So that was crazy in itself. So that's not a whiskey that many people or a lot of us are going to see come around again anytime soon. So, yeah, couldn't agree more with Blake on that one. So, you know what, Top Dog. So for me, I was a big fan of. I got some Tennessee Tasters, basically the rye, a few little experimental things that I got from Ethan and Katie Turk. They were nice enough to share some with me, and I was kind of digging some of those. So now again, I haven't had ones recently. I'll say maybe within the last year, maybe two, but it was something that I always felt was kind of cool. I appreciated them kind of doing some of these little kind of small batch type of things. And it's a nice little bourbon, I'm telling you. For if it's around that $60 range, which I'd prefer it. And again, it's not a huge distillery, so you're going to pay a little bit more of a premium just because of what they are, their processes, all of that. But man, that little Ben Holiday, I want to get them actually on. I'd like to hear more about the story and all of that. So, what the heck was that? So where'd Popham go? So I'm not a fan of the heat cycling. Oh, okay, you can't recreate Mother. Okay. I agree. I think at the end of the day, a lot of what Mother Nature has to offer, I'm 100% fine with that and appreciate that. I think I just kind of like the influence that some of the heat cycling allowed for the whiskey to interact. I mean, I think I like a lot of like that Old Forester kind of profile. So for me, I kind of dig it. Some people may not like it, may find it a little bit too, kind of like earthy, oaky, whatever that may be. And I get that. So I know that process and that flavor profile isn't necessarily for everyone. So I'll be honest, my Tater days are almost mine are long gone, Adam. I'll tell you what, I don't have any patience for being in a line, camping out, any of that kind of stuff. And even though we run the whiskey club, I mean, I think honestly, it's probably one of the easiest and best ways to get a lot of like great bourbon that's out there. I mean, we've been fortunate enough to work with Jared and Barrel King and him put a lot of things together for us and allow us to continue to work on some things with him. And we appreciate that. I mean, I know there's not a lot of people that are, able to get Barrel King. So hence why I was working on doing some private whiskey tastings with Jared, which I kind of sent out to some patrons and stuff the other day. So working on some of that stuff a little bit, but getting introduced to some of these new brands that a lot of people, don't have the opportunity to try all of that. The more we can do those things and bring those fun things to you guys, it allows you to then, develop either a relationship or appreciate those whiskeys for what they are. And I'm happier than all get out that we were kind of introduced to Barrel King. I mean, some of the stuff that these guys do, I mean, look at this one. I mean, this is just the Barrel King that was then finished in some stag barrels. I mean, who else was doing that? Nobody. And he kind of hit a home run with that. And so yeah, I mean, we're really, really excited to be working with them. So I already got here, Doc. I feel it was a great year for both Elijah Craig and Larceny barrel proof releases. I haven't had the most recent of the Elijah Craig, and I've not had any of the Larceny barrel proof. So I've had some of the what was I going to say? The Larceny barrel proofs, and to be honest, I haven't been along the way a huge fan of it. So I'm reluctant to buy it when I see it. So, all right, Ritter. So the Willet 8-year weeded, crazy price for decent bourbon. So, I mean, again, it kind of falls into the Willet hype. I don't know what the price point on the Willet 8-year bourbon was. I want to say in that 200, maybe 250 range, if I'm not mistaken. So, all right, Joey, what do you got? I prefer NDP, non-distilled producers, who takes a barrel of 3-year craft bourbon, puts it in the back of an El Camino, drives it around a junkyard in Manitowoc. Oh, Manitowoc, there you go, for 10 hours to cycle the bourbon. So, all right, there you go, good old Manitowoc reference. So I appreciate the Wisconsin reference to that. But no, I mean, I'm fine with some things. I just, a lot of us don't want to be. At the end of the day, we don't want to be BS'd. I mean, we'll get it. We can taste and see through a lot of that stuff. I mean, more importantly, taste it. But I mean, geez, you can only be, fed so much BS until you're like, I'm kind of full of that. So, Trailer Park Boys. Yeah, I don't know. So, so Buzzard's Roost, that was one that we actually, I had kind of reached out. They're not doing anything with the single barrel program yet, but we're kind of on the radar with them. So, but yeah, I think they're doing some kind of cool things too. And they're really big on the wood aspect, the interaction of the whiskey and the wood, and how all of that kind of plays into, I'll say, a slightly different profile that Buzzard's Roost has than a lot of other things. So maybe Top Dog, maybe you can even either concur, agree, or not agree. But I think it's kind of a cool one. So, and I'm pretty far behind right now, I think, aren't I? Let me catch back up. So, all right, I caught back up enough to see the boys from Cigar Club. So. We'll have to get their some information on them, how they're maybe appreciating the whiskey and cigar that we did with the collaboration. So if that's Griff, I don't know if that's Griff or Pew or who's in here, but good to see you guys. There you go, Eric. All right, so $52. So maybe you'll be commenting a little bit more, but. If not, what were your thoughts on the Ben Holiday? I think it's pretty good. I mean, at $50, I think it's even better. So, also disappointing for price, Remus Gatsby. Yeah, and isn't that one like again right around that 100 proof as well? And I think it's fairly pricey too, if I'm not mistaken. But there's just some of those things I just steer clear of them when you get into the high price. If I don't have an idea of what the profile is going to be, or if it's extremely expensive and I don't know who picked the barrel or whatever it may be, I kind of steer clear. I mean, it's kind of crazy from that standpoint. So, all right, Benny, what do you got? Man, Scott, you hit the jackpot with the Barrel King. All right, I appreciate that. I mean, that's not just us. I mean, that's Jared. I mean, his willingness to work with him. Hey, what's so damn funny? So Griff is here. That guy is a ball buster, I'll tell you. Good dude, but ball buster, that's for sure. But that's also what we do. So, what else we got here? Yeah, thank you for your presence. We appreciate that. So, if I could give you a little gold star, I would do so. Yeah, 250. I think for what was maybe the reference on the Willet. Too much 50. Yeah, it's. I guess that's the thing. I mean, you kind of have to understand what it is you're buying. Again, there's people who want Willet, and the FOMO kind of kicks in, and that's one thing I've kind of steered clear of in the last probably couple of years is the whole FOMO thing. I don't worry enough about it. Now, again, myself and Jason, we're a little more kind of spoiled because we do get bottles from just doing the barrel picks, and that's a really nice kind of perk. So we get a lot of, I'll say, really, really nice whiskeys. But again, chasing after birthday bourbons or, even BTAC, not that I wouldn't want those. I'm just not willing to either spend all of that money, or spend the amount of time that it takes to get those. So, overrated Calumet 16. Oh, you thought that was overrated? Hey, interesting. Great surprise, Old Elk Double Wheat, Drain Pour, another Club's Nulu. All right. Favorite Lucky 714 year. I got to reach back out to them. I got to reach back out to them, Rob, and see what we can do. So, favorite Lucky 7 for 818 proof. Best Buy Sealbox Cask promo on 4Gate. All right, cool. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate it. Yeah, some of their experimental stuff that they're doing is crazy. So yeah, I guess leave some comments on maybe some things that you were disappointed in, and again also reference some of the things that you were maybe surprised by in 2022 that you didn't maybe have high expectations for, and it met or exceeded your expectations. So, what's up, Darrell? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, so this was again, I said it kind of early on, but for me, the Calumet 16 needed time. I think it 100%, if you judge that too early on and made the assumption of a neck pour, that's what that bourbon was going to taste like. For me, when I went back to it, maybe I'll actually pour a little bit of that right now and kind of see what we're up against. But my thoughts were, when I first tried it, it was such an oak monster that it was not something I was really enjoying that much of. And I'm a fan of oak. It was just so much oak that it just was not even palatable for me at the time. And I had really no choice but to let that thing sit and hopefully open up. And I think I was rewarded nicely on that one. So, what else we got here? Have heard good things about that as well. So, what else we got here? Yeah, you can never go wrong. I mean, the Russell single barrels, I mean, there's just such a kind of a consistency in terms of the quality. And if you have a good idea of the group doing the pick and you trust what it is they do, it really makes those picks a great value and kind of a home run. So yeah, just the days of chasing all the allocated stuff. I mean, for the expense and the time that it takes to do it, it's just really, really difficult. So, and I've gotten too lazy to not want to do it. And again, I probably have gotten a little bit more like that just because we're kind of spoiled with, getting a lot of the picks and stuff that we do. So that definitely helps. What batch is this one? So this is batch. So this is rack number W4005.09. And the batch size was 19 barrels. What else we got? 106 proof. Yeah, so it just says rack number on this one. I'm pretty sure that's the same thing as the batch. So W4005.09. So it opened up nicely. Actually, I wonder if the other one I've got is the same or if that's different. 006. Oh no, this one's 4006.09. So different rack. So that'll be kind of interesting to see at some point what the differences are on that one. So hi. So this is kind of interesting. I mean, I know that's kind of one of those things that are kind of hit or miss with people, but that and again, Hellstorm, you might want to watch some reviews and make sure that it's going to be something that will fit your palate. I have heard some mixed kind of reviews on that one. I never got it. So I can't really give you my thoughts on that one, but I know there's others out there who have reviewed it. So yeah, can't go wrong with the 4x4. I'm a huge fan of what it is that Foregate does. I mean, it's kind of quality in, quality out, and knowing a lot of what it is that they do. I've kind of bought in on that. Again, trying to explain value. It's subjective, and it's, I'm willing to spend money on it. And again, I guess it comes down to if it's something you really enjoy and you're willing to, then pull the trigger. I mean, we're all subjective. Everyone's got their own palate. They enjoy what it is that they enjoy for that particular reason, and that's perfectly fine. So yeah, this was one, Justin, that was kind of interesting to me, was that one that they had aged in like the rye, like that was in, I think, something like a barrel that held like cigar leaves, I believe, or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But I thought it was kind of a cool concept to maybe introduce a little more of that kind of tobacco note to it. So, all right, let's try some of the Calumet 16 here in a second. See what we've got. So, and it's probably been since I got this. Oh man, it just opened up. It's gotten so much richer. Again, nice oak, lots of kind of those dark fruits, cherries specifically. Nice barrel influence, almost like a barrel char. S'mores, kind of chocolate notes. Yeah, really nice, kind of like rich, like Luxardo cherry. Man, molasses, brown sugar. Great vanilla is more of like a thick, like creme brulee. And it's just gotten to be, for me, a really, really nice whiskey. Love the oak on it. Oak is kind of tamed down. Still going to be there by all means. Great spice on it. Love the kind of finish, the rye that's there. Still some sweetness. Not overly sweet on the palate. You still kind of get some of those dark fruits, chocolate, kind of some espresso, things along those lines. A little bit of like a leathery aspect to it, but still some like kind of soft sweetness, if that makes any sense. I think it's got a nice balance to it. I think overall it's a really nice whiskey. And for around, like, I've seen some of these things like at or around $110, something like that, I think. But they're not bad. I think when I bought this one, it was like maybe 120, I believe, from like a Total Wine or something. So, I was fine with that. I mean, it's a 16-year-old bourbon. I believe, and again, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say, actually, I don't know if this is Barton or not. I think it was, but you guys can let me know if the idea behind that is Barton or not. So more than likely it is, but not necessarily. The Midwinter's Night Dram for me, I really prefer Ritter. I prefer a lot of the older ones to be honest. I think they were better. I don't know if they're making more of it now and some of the quality has kind of come down, but I'm just I'm not like overly crazy. I had a sample of the most recent one and I wasn't like overly blown away. I thought it was just a good whiskey, and I think they've kind of almost doubled in price from the time even maybe a handful of years ago. Now they're like in that one maybe 30-ish range, something like that. But let's see what we got. So I got a nice Woodinville pick from Ace in Minnesota. Okay. Yeah, I mean some of the Woodinvilles, I mean, when we did the stuff through the whiskey club, I mean, it's an interesting profile. It's different. It's crafty. They're it's going to be different, but I think a lot of the people who are buying those appreciate that, and that's something that is kind of fun, where you're still getting something different and unique, and that's one thing I've really come to appreciate in the last few years is appreciate the whiskey that you're drinking for what it is. Not everything is going to be the best. Not everything is going to be the worst. So it's more of maybe trying to enjoy, no matter what it is, enjoying that for what it is, based on what it is, if that makes any sense. But I think it's kind of really what I'm trying to say is be in the moment with that particular whiskey that you're enjoying. So what do we got here? 4x4. Yeah, I know, Blake. That was a very, very small batch of. I don't even have a bottle of that. I never got one. Was able to try a sample of it, and it was a fantastic bourbon. So, well, I feel honored that Mama King is watching tonight. So, welcome, Mama. Appreciate that. Let's see. Jared says, had to drive to Kentucky to get my 4x4 and 10-year Indiana Foundation since not released in Tennessee. Yeah, well, fortunately, you didn't have to go too far and made kind of for a nice road trip. So 13th Colony. It is not. I've seen some things about it. If I'm not mistaken, Eric, they're the one kind of in that more birthday bourbon-ish kind of bottle. It looks kind of cool. Have not tried anything from them. I know there were a couple people that had tried some of their stuff going back maybe a handful of years ago, but it'd be interesting to kind of hear someone's perspective on what it is they're doing with their stuff these days. So, yeah, $140 MSRP for the Calumet 16. I think I've seen some of those. So, okay, all right. So it is all Barton. So I mean, I know they've done an awful lot of sourcing, so it doesn't surprise me one bit. So Rob, I'd be interested to hear like your thoughts on the 16. Were you not kind of digging the oak presence of it? And again, I mean, whether you like it or not, I mean, that's everyone's perspective, but I'm always interested to hear why people don't appreciate or why they don't like what it is that they're tasting. So Forget Right Down Under, Beatsman, or yeah, I couldn't agree more. So what else we got here? Rob, you definitely need to. And again, I will say this with the Port Perry Perry, and I've got mine. Mine's been open now for a while back there. I think I did the review, and I just realized I never actually uploaded the review part of it. Maybe I'll do that here pretty soon too. But the Port Perry Perry, again, for me, was one of those whiskeys that needed time. Like, it was great right away. I felt it was a little bit like ethanol-y, if that makes any sense, like right away. And I kind of set it aside, went back to it maybe like a month after that. And it was everything I was hoping it would be. A lot of that ethanol I kind of tamed down. It just became a beautifully balanced, finished whiskey. So I'll be interested to hear once you crack open the Port Perry Perry, your thoughts on that. So. Yes, exactly, Cam. Exactly. So love the one you're with. Yeah, that's a really good. If you can't love everything else, love the one you're with. That is for damn sure. So yeah, the 4x4 was a good one. I mean, unfortunately, not many bottles hit the pavement. That's for sure. So um oh yeah, Dusty was, yeah, I know Dusty kind of got into a little bit of the 13th colonies, and yeah, I think he was maybe one of the only ones to do some of the reviews of their stuff. And Dusty's got a great palate on him. So I mean, if you're gonna trust someone, he's another guy to definitely trust. So so the 15 over the 16. So I don't know if the 15 was obviously a little less oaky, but for me, I thought that the 15 was, I guess, how do I say this? Slightly flatter. And I think this is where kind of the oak influence kind of came into play a little bit. But the 15 was good. It drank, dare I say, smooth. It was a very easy, not so much in your face bourbon. I really did enjoy the 15 as well. But for me, I like a little bit more of that oak presence, a little bit more of that kind of like richness of a bourbon. That's something I really, really enjoy. And so for me, the 16 is kind of hitting really well. Not that the 15 didn't. I just think the 16 is just slightly amped up and maybe a touch more oak on that, which I get for a lot of people. They don't want all of that oak, and it can be a little bit, off-putting for a lot of people. So, yeah, I agree. For me, I appreciate that. Love a lot of what it has to do. So, Hawkshap. Um, all right, so I'm assuming this is for the Calumet 16. So you thought it was sharp, tannic to me, with pink super bubble gum on the back end. Good. I just thought overrated given those notes. All right, so is that even going back to it later on after it's kind of sat open a little bit? I'd be interested to kind of hear that. So. All right, Brandon, I've not even heard of that. And I mean, honestly, I probably don't pay attention to a lot of what Buffalo Trace does, only because nobody ever sees the shit, and it's like super crazy prices for most of the stuff. So I have no idea, and I don't even know what the E.H. Taylor Adero, unless that was supposed to be barrel proof rye. Maybe that's supposed to be barrel proof, but if it isn't, I don't know what Adero is. So. So picked up the Buffalo Trace Kosher today. Is it any different in taste? I would say not really. I mean, I think a lot of those, it was, I don't know, from what I tasted of it. I mean, honestly, it tasted a lot similar to just kind of standard Buffalo Trace, to be quite honest. So. Yeah, OH, the 15 was again another kind of fruit monster, and probably slightly easier to drink, less oaky. There's no doubt about it. So for a lot of people, the 15 is an easier bourbon to drink. And I know when people ask if should I choose the 15, because you still see these things on the shelves. They're in a lot of places, and people ask, and you really have to kind of gauge what it is they appreciate in a bourbon before you tell someone, because to me, there's a significant difference between the 15 and 16. So, if there's someone that likes one kind of profile more than the other, it gives you a better idea for sure. So, Cam, couldn't agree with you more. My recommendation is for whatever the 4-gate release is, I say try it right away, see how it is, and then let it sit for a minimum of a couple weeks. Go back to it, see if it's changed. Generally speaking, it has, and for me, in a much better way. They just seem to tame down in the ethanol and increase in the richness, complexity. More flavors kind of tend to come out with a lot of the 4-gate finish stuff. That's my thoughts on that. So, because I've had a lot of people try them right off the neck pour and then not be crazy about it. And I have to kind of tell people, I'm like, just go back to it. If in a couple weeks, a month, it doesn't hit where you want it to be, maybe wait a little bit longer. But if it hasn't opened up in that kind of month-ish time, then maybe that's just not a bourbon for you. Simple as that. Yeah, so those are kind of cool. I've not had either of the Andalusia Key Rye, the new ones yet, and I'll be interested. So Jared, once you kind of get into those, message me, let me know your thoughts on those. So, but again, definitely try them right away. Let them sit, go back to it, and I think you'll be rewarded. All right. I thought barrel proof. So, what's going on, brother? Hey, hopefully your daughter is doing much better. I'm really, really hoping. So, prayers to you, brother. All right. So yeah, okay, maybe that's just something. Maybe with the oak and maybe as tannic. And again, you might have a different batch. There are different batches, so there will be some subtleties on some of those. So maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe not. Maybe it's just something where that's not hitting your palate the way you want it, and nothing wrong with that at all. So. JB, what do you got? So Calumet 16, oak, leather, raisin, spice. Love all of that. True gateway to higher age bourbon for those who haven't taken the plunge. That's probably a good analogy. The one thing for a lot of people is that oak on it, where it can be a little bit tannic, a little bit drawing, can be off-putting. But for me, if you describe that to me now, I would be like all over that. And that's a great descriptor of that bourbon. I think you kind of nailed it on the head with that one. So it does. It allows you to I think, taste a little bit of the richness and kind of complexity of what an older aged bourbon is kind of supposed to be. And, I'm sure there's probably a little bit of water added to that, obviously, to bring it to about 106 proof. But man, if that thing was maybe barrel proof, it might be so heavy on the oak where you couldn't even drink it. So my thought would be there's probably a big reason that it's probably been proofed down to 106, and that's still a nice proof. And maybe even at that, they may not even had to add that much water, based on where it was coming out of the barrel. So they may not had to have added a lot of water to it, period. So. Let's see. Rocky, like, I'll tell you, he's you guys in these hashtag things. So, yes, as the dude would say, it's just my opinion, man. It's exactly it. I mean, that's all of us. We're all in the opinion-based business. I mean, that's what this is. It's all of our opinions. We're all a plethora of information, and you kind of latch on to people who, have similar palates and all of that. And that's a good thing. So, all right, what do you got here, Dustin? So, surprise bourbon of the year, Foregate 4x4. Okay. Disappointment, got to be Dixon's. Oh, interesting. So I saw Jason just did a review of that. Have not tried it myself. I'd be interested to try it just to kind of see what that is, because I know he's doing kind of the double oaking thing and all of that. But I'd be interested. Now I'll have to kind of search some out and see what the deal with the 2XO stuff is. So, and price wise, Dustin, I think that's in that $100 range. I think. I don't know what the ages are on the whiskeys within the blend either. So, what do you got? Rye of the year, New Riff malted rye. Love what the malted rye does. Sherry cask. Disappointment. Didn't have many. All right, well that's good. I mean that's kind of a cool thing. So, kind of nice when you don't have that you're not disappointed very often. That's always good. How's it going, Robert? Good to see you, brother. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Adam's got so rye of the year, maybe Sagamore share to it. I tell you, it's in my mix of whiskeys that I think are going to be in the whiskey of the year. I mean, it is. I absolutely love that Sagamore sherry cask. Just a great overall whiskey. Couldn't agree with you more. Um, yeah, so I would agree with you. I would agree with you more on that. Very good point. I think it just kind of maybe takes away a little bit of that kind of tannic part of that, kind of smoothing some of that stuff out, kind of taking some of the rough edges off, so to speak. Oh, Brandon, I'd tell you, but I have to kill you. Hopefully, everybody will watch the video at the end of the year. I mean, there's a few of them. I mean, for me, this is probably one of my favorites, just in terms of what it's kind of had to offer. We talked about a couple of other ones, so I guess I don't want to totally give everything away, but um, I've had some good ones. It's very hard when you get so many good whiskeys, that we pick for the club, that you don't feel compelled to go out and chase after all of these whiskeys, even from the standpoint of doing reviews. I've gotten a little bit more away from, either having to be or wanting to be the first guy to necessarily do the review of it, because then that way, if I've got an expensive bottle of whiskey that I'm not crazy about, I did it all for a few views, and I'm like, man, I just don't know if it's ultimately worth, doing all of that all the time with a lot of them. But I get it, and again, at the end of the day, to each their own. So yeah, some of the Sam Houstons can be pretty good. If I'm not mistaken, a lot of the Sam Houstons, I think, are a little lower proof. Again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Wes. Um, what else we got here? Yeah, I don't know what you're referencing. I don't know if maybe that's the Sam Houstons, and that could very well be. I thought they were a little kind of lower proof. So yeah, that's not one I've had. So I know Robert, and I know Dustin. I know you guys were really digging that one. So I know that's always the confusing thing, Adam. I think a lot of people get Calumet and Sam Houston confused an awful lot of times, just because of what it is. But I think the Sam Houstons are slightly lower proof, and again, I think they're all like right around that $100 range, something like that. So man, it's such a crushable whiskey. I mean, what you can pair it with so many things. It's a good proof. The sherry influence is very, very well balanced in it. I've told Brian that blend that they did with this year was incredible. So what else we got here? So we'll probably wrap it up here in a second. I know the junkies are going to be live here in a second, but what else we got? Um, So Barton's older stuff is generally a bit lower proof outside of a few single barrels. So kind of interesting. A lot of the older bourbons, as they get up in age, they tend to lose some proof. So no doubt about that. Not sure what that is in reference to. G. What else we got? So Sam. All right. So Sam Houston 1,503 proof. All right. So I'd be fine with that. Again, $100 or so. I think it's probably not too bad of a price. So Yes, definitely 210. I know Andy and Todd are definitely going live, so you'll have to go check them out. Plus, I think they're doing some Metallica stuff tonight, and I think they're also talking a little bit more about the Bourbon County Stouts and stuff that are just released on Black Friday. So, all right, guys, maybe we'll wrap it up on that note. So I appreciate everybody kind of hanging out and kind of chatting about some of the favorites, maybe dislikes, and some surprise whiskeys of 2022. So it's always an interesting time of year with everyone's kind of favorites and putting lists and stuff together. And we're always working on those favorites and stuff. So guys, I appreciate everybody hanging out on another Tuesday night. A little cool here in good old state of Wisconsin, but it's not looking like it's going to get a whole lot better anytime soon with it getting coming here into December here pretty soon. But as always, want to say thanks for all the support. Appreciate you guys always being here. Can't tell you how much I appreciate the support and watching the videos and commenting and doing all that. So I greatly appreciate all of that. For all of the guys that are part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, thank you guys. Jason and I, we appreciate it more than you know. Being able to do the picks, deliver the whiskey, and have you constantly come back and be appreciative and be interactive with us. We thank you. If you're for some reason not part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, I've got a link in the description below if you want to join. We'd love to have you. And but anyway, appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Thanks, Blind Squirrel. Appreciate you rubbing that one in. So it was maybe 39 here, it seemed like today, but definitely not 79. But guys, thanks again. Appreciate it. Not sure what I'll have for next Tuesday. A lot of times do these things kind of off the cuff, but it's always fun to hang out. I know we didn't get anybody involved. Next week we'll do it. We'll open it up. We'll have a live forum. So next week, guys, make sure for Tuesday night, some of you come prepared to go live with me. We'll kind of get into some just general talk, kind of shoot the shit a little bit, have a little bit fun. That's what it's really all about. So guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And as always, it's about the journey and not the destination. We will see you next Tuesday. Thank you for all the support. Cheers, guys.